Hi friends, my name is Nandita. I am from Andhra Pradesh.
Good morning, students. In this section, you are going to learn about nutrition in plants. Children, already we discussed that all living organisms such as plants and animals require food. So, food is essential for all living organisms. Plants are capable of making their own food themselves, but humans and animals cannot. Now, let us discuss the mode of nutrition in plants. Plants prepare their own food by using raw material like water, carbon dioxide and minerals. The process of utilizing of food by a living organism to obtain energy is called nutrition. Let us discuss the importance of nutrients. Children, organisms need food to obtain energy, to obtain materials for growth, to obtain materials for repair of damaged body parts and to carry out life process. Methods of nutrition takes place in two different types. One is autotrophs and second one is heterotrophs. Now let us discuss in detail about autotrophs or autotrophic nutrition. Plants that have chlorophyll trap the energy from the sunlight and prepare their own food. Such nutrition, wherein the food is prepared by the organism itself, is called autotrophic nutrition. The organisms capable of preparing their own food are called autotrophs. All green plants are autotrophs. Auto means self and trophs means nourishment. They prepare their own food by the process of photosynthesis. Now let us discuss about heterotrophs or heterotrophic nutrition. Heterotrophic organisms are those who obtain food from other organisms. Since these organisms depend on other organisms for their food, they are called consumers. All animals and non-green plants like fungi comes under this category. Organisms that follow the heterotrophic mode of nutrition are called heterotrophs. Now, let us discuss about photosynthesis. Photosynthesis means the process by which green plants make their own food from water and carbon dioxide in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll is called as photosynthesis. Let us study in detail the process of photosynthesis. The process of photosynthesis takes place in the green leaves of a plant. The food is prepared by the green leaves of a plant in the form of a simple sugar called glucose. The extra glucose is changed into another food called starch. This starch is stored in the leaves of the plant. The green plants converted sunlight energy into chemical energy by making carbohydrates. Now, let us discuss the steps which are involved in the photosynthesis. Photosynthesis mainly involved in three steps, and these are: first one, absorption of sunlight energy by chlorophyll. Second one, conversion of light energy into chemical energy and splitting of water into hydrogen and oxygen by light energy. Third one, reduction of carbon dioxide by hydrogen to form carbohydrate like glucose by utilizing the chemical energy. Conditions necessary for photosynthesis. The conditions necessary for the photosynthesis to take place are sunlight, chlorophyll, carbon dioxide and water. Raw material for photosynthesis. The raw material for photosynthesis are carbon dioxide and water. Now, let us discuss about how do the plants obtain carbon dioxide. Children, there are a large number of tiny pores called stomata on the surface of the leaves of a plant. The carbon dioxide gas enters the leaves of a plant through the stomata present on their surface. Each stomatal pore is surrounded by a pair of guard cells. The opening and closing of stomatal pores is controlled by the guard cells. Now, let us discuss about how the plants obtain water for the photosynthesis. The water required by the plants for photosynthesis is absorbed by the roots of the plants from the soil through the process of osmosis. The water absorbed by the roots of the plant is transported upwards to the xylem vessel to the leaves where it is reached the photosynthetic cells. Plants also need other raw materials such as nitrogen, phosphorus, iron, and magnesium for building their body. The plants take these materials from the soil. Nitrogen is an essential element used by the plants to make the proteins and other compounds. Let us discuss about the chloroplasts. Photosynthesis takes place in the leaves of the plant. Leaves have green color pigment called chlorophyll. It helps leaves to capture the energy of the sunlight, which is then used to prepare the food from carbon dioxide and water. Solar energy is captured by the leaves and it is stored in the plants in the form of food. So we can say that sun is ultimate source of energy for all living organisms. Children, points to be remembered in this lesson are: all living organisms such as plants and animals require food. Food is a nutritive substance taken by an organism for the growth, repair, and maintaining the life process. Photosynthesis in plants can also take place in other green parts like green stems and green branches. Glucose is the simplest food synthesized by the plants. This glucose made by the plants is converted into complex carbohydrates which are known as starch. These simple carbohydrates are used to synthesize other components of food such as proteins and fats. Proteins are nitrogenous substances. Plants prepare proteins with the help of nitrogen which is obtained from the soil. Plants use the minerals dissolved in water to convert glucose into carbohydrates and fats. Photosynthesis is important because it provides food to animals including human beings. It puts oxygen gas into the air which is essential for breathing and respiration in animals and human beings. Children, most of the plants have green pigment called as chlorophyll and they can make their own food by the process of photosynthesis. So, some of the plants do not have chlorophyll and they cannot synthesize their own food, and these plants are known as heterotrophic plants. This type of nutrition can be categorized into parasitic mode of nutrition, insectivorous mode of nutrition, saprophytic mode of nutrition, and symbiotic mode of nutrition. Let us discuss in detail about these four types of nutrition. Children, as we discussed that some plants do not have chlorophyll but they cannot synthesize their own food. Now let us think, how do they survive and from where do they derive their nutrition? Like humans and animals, some plants depend on the food produced by other plants also. So they use the heterotrophic mode of nutrition. Children, what did you notice in this picture? Do you see a yellow, wiry branched structure twinging around the stems and branches of a tree? Yes, this plant is called as cuscuta and it is having another name, amarbel. Let us discuss about parasites. In parasitic mode of nutrition, plants depend on other plants or animals for their food, means nourishment. Such dependent plants are also called as parasites, and the ones on which parasites depend are called as hosts. Let us discuss about cuscuta. Cuscuta is a plant that does not have a chlorophyll. Already we discussed that it sucks food from the host plant through the roots called as fustorium. Cuscuta is therefore a complete parasite. A parasite plant climbs on the host plant from which they get all the food. The host does not get any benefits from the parasitic plants. Some examples of parasitic plants are cuscuta, we can call as amarbel, hookworms, tapeworms, leeches, etc. Rafflesia. This is also another type of parasitic tetrastigma plant. It is completely dependent on its host plant for its food. Children, have you seen or heard of a plant that can eat an animals? Yes, there are a few plants which can trap insects and digest them. Is it not amazing? Such plants may be green or some other color also. These types of plants purely depend on other insects and small animals for their nutrition. And these plants are called as insectivorous plants. Observe the picture and we will discuss about insectivorous plants. Insectivorous plants. An insectivorous mode of nutrition is observed in the plants like picter plant and Venus flytrap. Look at the picture of a picter plant. The picter-like or a jug-like structure is the modified part of a leaf. The apex of the leaf forms a lid which can open and closes the mouth of the picter. Inside the picter there are a hair which are directed to downwards. When an insect lands on the picter, the lid closes and trapped the insects gets entangled into the hair. The insect is digested by the digestive juices secreted in the picter and its nutrients are absorbed. Such insect-eating plants are called as insectivorous plants. Let us discuss about Venus flytrap. The leaves of Venus flytrap have a stiff hair-like projections on their edges and the entire leaf is divided into two parts. The middle part is acting like a hinge. When an insect sits on the leaf, it stucks tightly, traps the insect inside and it digested it with the presence of digestive juices and absorb the nutrients from the insect. Now let us discuss about sundews. Sundews are also called as flypaper plants that they trap prey in sticky hairs on their leaves. They make up one of the largest groups of carnivorous plants. The glands produces nectar to trap prey, powerfully adhesive to trap it, and the enzymes to digest it. Once an insect comes to stuck nearby the tentacles coil around the insect and smother it. Let us discuss about saprotrophs. Children, you may have seen packets of mushrooms sold in the vegetable markets. You may have seen fluffy umbrella-like patches growing in moist soil or on rotting woods during the rainy season. Let us find out what type of nutrients they need to survive and from where they get them. Have you seen a cotton-like thread spread on this piece of bread? Yes, these organisms are called as fungi. They have a different mode of nutrition. They absorb the nutrients from the bread. This mode of nutrition in which organisms taking nutrients from dead and decaying matter is called as saprotrophic nutrition. Such organisms with a saprotrophic mode of nutrition are called as saprotrophs. Fungi also grow on pickles, leather, clothes, and other articles that are left in hot and humid weather for a long time. During rainy season, they spoil many things. Ask your parents about what the millions of fungi in your house. The fungal pores are generally present in air. When they land on wet and dry things, they germinate and grow. Now, you can figure out how we can protect our things from getting spoiled. Symbiotic plants. Some organisms live together and share both shelter and nutrients. This relationship is called as symbiosis. For example, certain fungi live inside the roots of the plants. The plants provide nutrients to the fungus and then in return the fungus provides water and certain nutrients. In organisms called leeches, a chlorophyll containing partner, which is an algae and fungus, live together. The fungus provides a shelter, water and minerals to the algae, and in return the algae prepares and provides food to the fungus. Children, have you seen farmers spreading manures or fertilizers in the field or gardens, using them in lawns or in pots? Do you know why this is done? You have learnt that plants absorb minerals and nutrients from the soil, isn't it? Yes. Children, the amount in the soil keeps on declining. Fertilizers and manures contain nutrients such as potassium, nitrogen, phosphorus, etc. These nutrients need to added from time to time to enrich the soil. We can grow plants and keep them healthy if we can fulfill the nutrients requirements of the plants. Usually, crop plants absorb a lot of nitrogens and the soil becomes deficient in nitrogen. So, you learned that through nitrogen gas is available in plenty in the air, but plants cannot use it in this manner. They can use carbon dioxide, they need nitrogen in the soluble form. So, the bacteria called as rhizobium can take atmospheric nitrogen and convert it into a useful form. But rhizobium cannot make its own food, so it often lives in the roots of gram, peas, mung, beans, and other leguminous plants and provide them with nitrogen. In return, the plants provide food and shelter to that bacteria, thus, they have a symbiotic relationship. This association is of a great significance for the farmers. They can reduce the use of nitrogenous fertilizers where leguminous plants are grown. Most of the pulses are obtained from leguminous plants. Children, in this chapter, you learned that most of the plants are as heterotrophs since they depend on plants and other animals for food. Can we say that the insectivorous plants are partially heterotrophs also? Thank you.